I'm going to call the meeting to order. I think it's at 7 back there. There's a little reflection on that clock. And as always, we'll open with a prayer for guidance for the board. And tonight it's John Schwalm. So John, would you lead us?
Thank you very much. Can we bow our heads, please? Dear Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day and our opportunity to enjoy this beautiful day. We thank you as we watch the library taking shape, and what a blessing this is going to be for our community. We thank you for our workers here that do an awesome job, and they dedicate their lives to our township. We thank you for our first responders who put their life on the line daily. And we think of 9/11 that's coming up here shortly, and those people that sacrifice their lives for us are just a symbol of true patriotism and bravery. Thank you, Lord. We think of those people that suffered under the recent hurricane and pray that you'll be with them, and loss of life and loss of property. Please help them through this difficult time. We thank you, Lord, that Carol Scolm was able to be back here with us, and Carol's all healed up and smiling face, and it's just joyful to have her with us today. We ask for your guidance, we ask for your wisdom, and please help us this evening with our meeting. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And thank you, John. Please stand and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. And if the clerk would call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, let the record show that all members of the board are present.
Yeah, thanks, boy. Good.
Thank you.
Good. All right. Before we approve the agenda tonight, my quote tonight is pretty simple. It's from Martin Luther King. Everyone can be great because everyone can serve. Common theme that we've heard, I'm sure, and a somewhat pithy saying, but we've got to remind ourselves as we do our jobs, as we work, and as we live among the township, that first and foremost, it's not a position. Of course, it's service. So that's why each of you ran to begin with, and we want to keep our sights on that as we continue to serve the township. All right. Thank you. At this time, then, the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
I would make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Support.
Okay, we got used to saying support with you, Dawn, so we...
That's Carol now. Good.
Like,
It's on autopilot, but it's fine.
She's back, okay? You know, her.
You can relax.
All right, move to support. Does anyone wish to discuss or amend the agenda in any way? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The agenda then is passed. Item 6, this is our communication letters and reports received for information. As always, I trust that the board members have availed themselves of that information and have reviewed it. All right, item number 7, for those who are here tonight from the public, we appreciate you being here, first of all. Thank you. And we have... for those of you maybe who don't come all the time, we have 2 public comment periods. We have one right now, and then we'll have one later on in the meeting. And the one right now is focused on items which are on the agenda. And items on the agenda tonight having to do with some gateway project and food trucks and some of the things you might have read online. If there's any of those you wish to speak to, then certainly come forward at this time. You'll have 3 minutes to address the board. And then later in the meeting, we'll have an open mic public comment period for 3 minutes each on any topic you like. If you speak the first time, you can also speak the second. You can change topics, or you can pick up where you left off. All right? So is there anyone who is interested in this first public comment? Yes. Is it Hugh again? You can say your full name and also your address. I just couldn't remember the last name, but thanks, Hugh.
At the last meeting,
If it has not, why not? If you're going to do it, why can't you put the requested bid on hold until it's investigated? But I think it's a serious problem down there, and people just don't think of it because they don't make that right turn enough. And I hate to say this, but the traffic engineer that designed that intersection probably is never going to use it. So please consider that before you award a contract for a clock tower that everybody has a watch or a clock in their car that can tell the time. So please consider a right turn lane for safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. I appreciate that. And as you're being seated, I'll just say for what it's worth, I know I went out there and drove it a few times just to do it myself, and also made inquiry in terms of the frequency with which it's used. So I know others probably have thought about it as well, Hugh. It's not been bypassed altogether. Anyone else wish to address an item on the agenda tonight? Yes, John, I see you moving there.
Hello, John Cade, 7869 Parkside Court. I was also going to make a comment similar to what the last gentleman did about the clock tower, not necessarily the tower, but the angle. To me, does seem a little extreme. There's something to be done with that, maybe independent of the clock tower, I don't know. My other, since you have two items on about gateway improvements, both on Baldwin, 44th Street, when you enter here from Granville down 44th Street, there's nothing. There's nothing that says welcome to Jenison or welcome to Georgetown.
You didn't hear we're buying the Burger King there to put up a sign? No?
I'm not, there is something there, I don't know.
I'm kidding, John.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you get in, to the nice.
But you're saying there's not a demarcation at all, even if it's just a little metal sign.
I just tell my GPS says I've left Granville and I'm in Georgetown.
Interesting, because I don't want to get off tangent, but all right, I duly noted. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else in the first public comment period? Okay, seeing none. Again, there will be a second one here later in the meeting. I'm still writing down John's comment in a second. All right. Item number 8, the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve that agenda?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Support.
Moved and supported. All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And item 8 is passed. Item 9, this is to tentatively adopt the 2020 budget and to schedule a public hearing.
I will move that.
Okay.
Support.
Moved and supported, all right. Everyone understands the motion, right? We had our previous discussion at the last meeting, and then we'll have a public hearing and eventually a vote. Anyone wish to address this topic right now? All right, hearing none.
It's a roll
call. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Schwam?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Mr. Wieringa?
Yes.
Mrs. Skolma?
Yes.
Mr. Manier?
Yes.
Mr. Bosch?
Yes. Item 10, this is the proposed food truck ordinance. Someone wish to place that again before?
I will make the motion to approve the resolution as recommended by the Planning Commission.
I'll support it.
Moved and supported. All right, discussion.
Just a quick comment. The Planning Commission has spent several meetings discussing this, looking at what other communities do. There isn't much out there. And so it was basically tailored for us as a township. We've had a couple of requests for this within the community. We had one person from the public who came to our last meeting, but he spoke in favor of it, even though he owns a commercial business, because his intention is that he's going to be one of the first ones to have a food truck at his place of business.
I see. Okay. All right. Appreciate that report from the Planning Commission. Others? Anyone else? Okay. I'll say, working in Grand Rapids, they have a food truck ordinance which they passed not too long ago, and it was carefully crafted, I think, in such a way as to protect the interest both of the restaurant owners as well as those the interest in the public in having this variety. And I think one of the things I appreciate as I read through what the Planning Commission put together is they've tried to delineate this in such a way as not to hurt those that already run a restaurant-related business. And I suppose as time goes on, it will prove itself either a good and workable ordinance or one that might need to be tweaked in the future. We shall see. So
We've had a few of those trucks at the Music in the Park, and that's very nice.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. They're nice. Well, all right, just a roll call as well.
Mr. Bosch.
Yes.
Mr. Manier.
Yes.
Mrs. Skolma.
Yes.
Mr. Wieringa.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Mrs. Steele.
Yes.
Mr. Schwab.
Yes.
Carried.
All right, thank you. All right, item number 11, and it's related to item 12 as well, but it's gateway improvements for 100 Baldwin. Is there a motion to place before the board for approval?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Support. All right, and you can see, thank you, Dan and Rod, for putting that up on the screen. It's obviously not contained entirely within the screen, but it is in line with what was previously distributed to us at our prior discussions about this. I think the only thing we didn't have when we've looked at it previous times have been numbers, which you do now have. Any discussion about this particular motion? And you're showing us, obviously, 100 Baldwin here. Yep. All right.
I've got a number of red flags on this. One, the cost. $450,000 for flowers and shrubs seems pretty extravagant. And my complaint too, of course, is the location. It's not highly visible getting off the highway as people are looking at traffic. Be better seen by those leaving. But back to the cost, $450,000 plus however much we paid MC Smith to design. I think we're at $40,000 between this and the clock tower that we've paid him so far to come up with these ideas. It seems extreme for what it is. Also, I had to ask right off the bat, what's this going to, we don't have numbers, but they were figured in the budget. And also, I had looked at the finance committee agenda, for when it was posted, I think Monday, and there was nothing listed about this, and then suddenly it got dropped on the finance's agenda the day of, which I thought was, we should probably post that stuff in case people want to come and attend the meeting to hear about it rather than drop it, because the optics make it look a little strange, a little fishy. So I got a problem with that. The other problem I have is, what do we pay MC Smith? How much does he get? The percentage of the job?
We do pay them afterwards to assist with the construction process.
Yeah, the percentage.
We have to work out the final deal with them if this gets passed, but yes.
So we don't know what we're going to pay him. We're going to pay him something, but we don't know. Ballpark, 5%, 10%, 15%?
4% is the ballpark.
4%?
Yeah, but...
And historically, it's always been around 4%? Is it been higher?
It's been the ballpark. So each project can be a little different, but how much supervision is required.
And that's one of my concerns is, and we didn't get the bids. MC Smith solicited the bids?
Correct.
Because to me, that seems like a conflict of interest. If they benefit from the total cost of the project, I would think that we could handle soliciting bids for this. It looks pretty, but I would imagine you could show that to any landscape company and they could come up with a bid. So it just seems strange. $450. What if we tried DeVries? Who's the other? There's all kinds of lands. Evergreen. A number of different. We might get one that comes in at 200 or 100. Or they might make suggestions like, well, this really isn't that necessary. Over here you could save some money. But we let the person the company that's going to make a percentage of the total cost solicit those bids. So to me, the optics just doesn't look good. And then speaking of optics too, as I received this with my tax bill, and it says, we're excited to beautify our Baldwin entrance. And it's got the pictures. And I asked my wife, I said, am I still on the board? I don't remember voting on this.
It does, if you read more clearly in there, it indicates there needs to be a vote, or that there's, it at least is fact that it's not been finally approved.
Right, I had to read it 3 or 4 times, and I still, like, it sounds like we're moving full steam ahead, and I don't remember voting on this.
Optimistic language, but a caveat for there not having been approval yet. So maybe I'll be proven wrong in my optimism tonight.
Right, but I'm just, it's another one of those things that, it's like, well, I didn't realize this, and the optics are like, it's almost like this was decided before it even made it to any committee.
Wishing and hoping.
And then when stuff just appears last minute at the meeting, it's like, what is going on here? It's almost like there's I'm not sure the word, not collusion or conspiring, but this has already been planned ahead. And now we're just going through the formal stages of dropping it in the committee and then bringing it to the board without a chance for the public to really have time to digest it and think about it and discuss it. And you know me, I like transparency. Let's be honest with the people. Let's get their input. Let's get their feedback. $450,000 for trees and flowers? That's a lot of money.
Well, the Finance Committee gave Dan Carlton and Rod the direction to get bids or to get MC Smith.
Yes, I was at the meeting.
Yeah.
It was to move to the next
They're a very
stage.
professional group. If we're going to put something up in our township that's going to be there for 50 to 100 years or who knows how long, we want to have professional people. Not that DeVries or somebody like that isn't, but this company has done work all over the state of Michigan. They've done South Haven. They've done, I think it's Frankenmuth. Beautiful work that they do. And so we chose to have them, Dan get prices for them and come up with some drawings for us. Those drawings came to finance. We went over those drawings and we said what we didn't like and what we did like. And then they came back with this. And then we presented it to the board. So there was nothing.
Yeah, we always use MC Smith.
That
was always been one of my questions too. Are they the only landscape architects in town?
No, there's
it's
other groups like
and they've done a lot of work for us. They've done multiple things, and I'm not questioning their ability, and I'm not concerned about their portfolio and past work. But the question is, I think it's our duty as board members, representative of the taxpayers, to be good stewards with the money. And I look at this and I'm thinking, I don't know anybody in Georgetown who would think, yeah, that's a great idea. What, $450,000 for landscape? Yeah, no big deal. I just spent $100,000 on my landscaping last year. Seems like a bargain. So those are my concerns. And I know where to go, but I just wanted to voice my concerns.
Others? Other comments?
Jim, I think this will add to the community. I think that the gateway, as people are coming in, it sends a positive message. I think to have that, and then just down from that, MC had made our Veterans Plaza, which has gotten rave reviews from the public. Their work has been incredible quality, and I just see that continuing. I'm excited about both these projects. I think it's going to be good for our community.
Anyone else?
I, like John Cade mentioned, don't come into town this way often. Proximity to where John and I both live, it makes a lot more sense often to take 44th down Fort Sheldon and then over. But I too am excited about these projects. I think that even though it isn't something that I drive by regularly, I think that there is, of course, a considerable amount of traffic there. And I am excited about this. I haven't read your letter yet because we're not in that part of. Does it come with a tax bill or something? We just haven't gotten our mailing yet. But I have heard from some friends and neighbors that have gotten that letter how well done it was and was excited to receive mine. So thanks for doing that. I look forward to this moving forward.
All right, anyone else? Hearing none, I would just say as a final comment on my part that, this has been something that has been thought about by a previous board. Obviously, not all of you were part of that board. I think it's why I had the level of optimism I did about it when I wrote about it. Of is because when you have touched on this issue for a number of years, and it's not just here, but it's what is now the Memorial and the Chicago Drive entryway and so on, that you get a feel for, I guess, different people's positions. I would wholeheartedly negate the concept that the fix was in, so to speak, or that somehow we had prejudged or even colluded or spoke to one another. I think that's a very serious allegation when it comes to a public body. We only deliberate in public meetings. Every one of you could say that I have not in any way, shape, or form either lobbied or strong-armed you, nor have you done that with me. But I think by one's natural affinities, statements they've made over a course of years, desires they'd like to see. In my case, I put it on my brochures and postcards when I ran for office. One of the things I put on there was this very thing. Now, I could have lost that. I could lose it yet tonight, for that matter. So, yes, we all express opinions. I've just heard enough of them over time to know that it seems there is a support for this. And I have no doubt that it's not 100% support in the community. I think it is a large majority if we really press that, particularly where you're not raising or changing, tax rates and so on. Some of you might recall the Chicago Drive vote, which was 4-3, and that actually cost more than what's being proposed here. I think this is roughly $722,000, and that was a little north of $750,000. I have not heard, although in the process of that vote there was a little bit of negative, but I've not heard a negative comment personally since it was installed. I think people are more proud of that entryway to drive along there and to see the improvements and all. Again, not perfect. Not everybody likes everything that is done, but by and large, when I think about sort of a changed attitude, and there is an end to this. Okay, if I can finish my comments here, it's my prerogative, I guess, in the center of this final comment, but this isn't going to go on forever, but it's been a number of years, hasn't it, Rich, where, hey, that Kmart's been sitting there a long time. Boy, look at that empty Hobby Lobby. What are we going to do about that empty Fables? What are we going to do,
Right.
What are we going to do about those things, the dilapidated warehouses that used to sit right here? And no offense to those who own them, they're happy with the price they got for them eventually, and they can store their things elsewhere. But it's been part of a larger pursuit. And that will wind down. In fact, I see this in a lot of ways as somewhat of a culmination of things over time that when it's finished as one piece in that larger puzzle that I think by and large people are going to say, I appreciate that. I think it's a good thing. I think it has helped preserve and maintain my property value. And it makes me a little more proud when I say, well, yeah, I live here, get off on this exit and turn this way. And I don't know, it's a more welcoming handshake than, as I used to like to say, when you would drive past this very property and you'd rather look at the sewage plant because it looked nicer, when that's Granville, than to look to your left at what was our property. And so I am pleased, and I think in the long run, while reasonable people can agree to disagree on this, I think by and large, if our job is to advance what we think is in the best interest of the majority of the public, that we're doing that in good faith and as best we know. And I'm excited that this piece may well finally come to fruition, and we'll find it out now with a vote. I don't think there's a roll call, so all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Aye. And the motion is carried. As I said, the sister motion, if you will, is item number 12, the gateway improvements for 401 Baldwin. This is, as we know, the old DeWitt property, if you will. Is there a motion to place this before the board?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Support. And moved and supported. And everyone understands this motion. Any comments before there's a vote? Okay.
I guess I would say this seems like a bargain for a clock tower compared to almost $500,000 for flowers and shrubs. But still, like Mr. Eisen said, was everybody's got to watch clock in their car. How necessary is it? So that's 3 gateway improvements within 2 blocks. So when does it end? Do we just keep pushing that? You could say the library is a gateway improvement too, Baldwin, because you're heading down. So, and like Mr. Cade had said, there's nothing on Kenowa. So is that coming? Should I expect that? That we're going to spend $500,000 at Port Sheldon in 48, or Fillmore in 48, Port Sheldon in 48. Let's hit them all. About 20, 30 million. Get all the entrances. So yeah, but it's same thing, $273,000. I think it's unnecessary. The whole project, both the two combined, by the time we get the fees and the extras, we're going to be close to $1 million for it. And I think, to me personally, when I got the letter with my tax bill, my taxes went up another $300. I'm glad it's being put to good use. I'll have to make sure I check out those flowers as I leave Georgetown.
Your taxes didn't go up, the value of your property went up? I think
I understand it. But my tax bill.
But if we're throwing around quotes, I just want to make sure that we're being transparent for our audience who might not understand it to the level that you do, Michael. Your taxes didn't go up. We didn't.
My tax bill increased by $300.
And that's the value of the property.
And because of the school millages.
Exactly.
Yeah, because of the school millages.
It's the assessed value increase. But then I look at people who got hit with mandatory sewer hookups, and they just shelled out $20,000. People got hit with mandatory sidewalk who just shelled out $10,000 for a sidewalk. And I'm like, and then to top that off, they get to say, oh, my tax bill's higher, and the township's going to spend $1 million on two pretty projects after they just did the Veterans Plaza, right in between those two projects.
Anyone else?
I'll say just to kind of bring up with what Hugh mentioned earlier, I think that while right now there's not discussion about doing anything with that turn lane, with the location where this is, that doesn't close the door on any future potential changes to that turn, to widen that. I mean, that's something that could still take place with this project going in.
And by that, I suspect you're referring to the pointed end there?
Correct.
Yeah, because once the other is there, I don't think that's going to...
Yeah, so I think what he's referring to is that if you're coming, it would be southbound and then turning to the west, that, to add something down at that corner, I guess is, while it's not in discussions right now, that could be done down the road without impeding any of the work that's being talked about here.
I do like for safety that there is that sidewalk option. That's the piece of this that I like the best, that there is the sidewalk option that's out by the trees and things. So that since we know that is a concern, that corner, that we're not routing all pedestrian traffic all the way down to the tip and then doubling back. I think that's nice.
Anyone else? Hearing none, I've already spoken enough earlier. I'll just say, as it relates to this, I believe that it will be appreciated again. Even though, as people have said, look, we have watches and clocks and so on. I guess you could say, in terms of if it's utilitarian, if that's the purpose of such things, then is there a need for any sculpture? Is there a need for any sort of artwork or what have you? Because I don't necessarily get a direct tangible benefit. I think the intangible of it is just the appearance, the pride, the appreciation for the look. Now, there is, as I alluded to a moment ago, there is a logical end to these things. I don't think anyone here, nor has there ever been an appetite expressed to try to do anything except the very two most primary entryways that handle the most cars, and were frankly the most depleted. I've said it before, but a pet shop and a tattoo parlor on the one side and an old warehouse and a sewage plant on the other. We needed, I think, to change and Kmart's gone. And there's a number of these places have filled up. There has been momentum generated by this. And we can continue, if people wish to debate about cost of that progress and whether it was worth it, was a good idea, and so on. But I personally don't have much, if any, regret on a number of those things. But I also recognize it isn't ours to continue to do and do, but to target, do, and then to maintain what it is you've done. I wanted you to know personally that I have investigated that question, and I appreciated his thoughts on that. I came to a different conclusion, but I respect I respect the fact that it isn't the easiest turn. But at any rate, someday I'd like to take, when all is said and done, in a couple of years or whatever, it'd be nice to take some side-by-side pictures of what the township will look like 8 years ago, 10 years ago, and what it will look like when the library is done and some of these things here along Baldwin are done, and then say, okay, for all those who didn't want anything at all done, what do you prefer? And I think, again, provided, and this is the truth, that you've maintained a tax rate that is comparatively very low, and haven't raised our taxes to accomplish X or Y, I think is ultimately what's going to help people say, yeah, I do appreciate that because it's working for me. And unfortunately, it does mean more taxes sometimes when we do improvements that maintain the value and in fact raise the value. Our taxes go up. But if anybody read the first sentence of my letter I sent out, we don't get one dime of that summer tax. So there's more money apparently in that one for schools and county. Again, no roll call on this one? Correct. So all in favor?
I would just say too, is that you said compare the old Georgetown to the current Georgetown. I'd like to see a comparison of tax rate of the old Georgetown compared to, which is the reason the vast majority of people moved here and continue to live here.
All right.
And it's just that, well, we overtax $2 million a year, so, and I would like to, I'm a transparency fanatic, but put this stuff up on our Facebook page. Let people decide, say, would you rather have this or lower taxes? It'll never happen, you know why? Because nobody's going to say, yeah, tax me, spend my money. I don't want lower taxes. They want lower taxes, but they don't get a choice.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
Aye.
And item 12 is passed. Item 13 then is a proposed 2019 budget amendment, so this year's budget based on those previous votes. Is there someone who wishes to place that before the board?
I will make the motion to approve the 2019 budget amendments as recommended.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Discussion? Everyone understands the motion before them? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Just roll call.
I'm sorry. Yep, thank you.
Sorry. Mr. Schlam?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Mr. Wieringa?
Yes.
Mrs. Skoma?
Yes.
Mr. Manier?
Yes.
Mr. Bosch?
Yes. All right. As advertised, then, our second public comment period is at this time. For those who are here yet and wish to speak, and this is your opportunity to speak either to what we just did or to other matters of concern to you. I see a couple of you rising, and it doesn't matter to me which order. Yes, sir.
The owner of 100 Baldwin. I didn't come to speak in favor or opposed, but out of shock that you would spend that much money on that little lot, $450,000 in flowers, and I'm amazed at that. That's why I came. I thought there'd be more objection, because I'm sure there will be, from the citizens. And, I don't know if you care, but the majority of the people are not in favor of spending that kind of money just for that little entrance. So, I think the address is probably 50.
50, okay.
50? Okay.
Okay.
So, as the owner, I'm a wild you're going to spend that kind of money in my front yard,
Yeah.
But I was just in shock at that much money. You should open it for more bids, maybe. Maybe that's too late. Thanks.
Thank you, Robert. And as he's taking a seat, I'll just remind everyone we've received 3 bids, not just one. And further, I would say about that there, we keep saying flowers, but we're completely ignoring when we say that. The sign, and that sign is not a small part of that. So, anyone else?
Hugh Eisen again. My last comments on these beautification projects. As I see it, we have three entrances to Georgetown Township coming from the east to the west. Baldwin Street, Chicago Drive, 44th Street. We have millions of dollars being spent on Baldwin Street. The stuff on Chicago Drive right at Main Street there looks nice, but you take Chicago Drive to Rosewood, there's nothing. If you come in on 44th Street, there is nothing. Why is the board spending millions of dollars for a clock tower, gardens on Baldwin Street, and nothing anyplace else? Come on, let's think about it. I don't need $1 million garden coming off of Baldwin going on to the expressway. I hardly ever go that way. So what benefit is me? So we have a third of the citizens entering the township on Baldwin. They may or may not appreciate it. The next third might like the stuff right at Main Street and Chicago Drive. Most of the time I'm coming on 44th Street and I see absolutely nothing. So why are you spending millions of dollars on Baldwin and nothing anyplace else? Let's cancel some of these things. Just plant some grass. It looks nice, you mow it, and it's done. So think about it before you spend thousands of more dollars.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. And full disclaimer, as Hugh takes a seat, that I use the 44th Street exit 99% of the time since I live over there. So this is not for my personal viewing enjoyment very often, but anyway. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name is Andrew Shinneberry. I live at 5957 Summerhill Drive in Hudsonville. And I'm the president of the Sunningdale HOA, so I'm here representing the 206 houses in the Sunningdale and Sunningdale West, of which he was also a part. We're here to express some disappointment. A couple months ago, we asked the township to consider adding sprinklers to the lot that they now own at the corner of Port Sheldon and Walton Heath. It, turned over to the
Port Sheldon and what?
Port Sheldon and Walton Heath, the entrance to Sunningdale West, and that lot came to be owned by the township by tax default. But it's the only lot in our subdivision that doesn't have any underground sprinkling, and it gets pretty dry this time of year. And so we asked the township to consider watering that. We are already maintaining it, but we don't have the right to go and tap into the township, which has a pump house there. Already there's water and electricity, but the township, and I will say specifically Roderick Weersing, denied that request. And also, to say one other thing, we are disappointed that we haven't seen any action on a sidewalk or a bike path on Port Sheldon between 40th and 48th. So I would like to just put that back on the table and see if we could speed that up. I know that the county is in the process of widening that. We talked to the township, our homeowners association, and they have told us that that is on the township, not the county. So I just would like to request that you bring that up to consider again a bike path or a sidewalk on that. I was there this morning. My son goes to Unity Christian, and as I was taking him to school, I saw some other of his classmates riding their bikes there. I know it's a dangerous section of road. I know that in 2016 we had somebody that was killed on that section, and I know his wife came and asked for special consideration, and that didn't seem like it moved the process along any further. So I would like to also respectfully submit that we would like to see some action on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Hello, still John Cade, same address. I thought maybe before you voted on 401 Baldwin, the clock tower, since the other gentleman mentioned about the angle there, if you do something in the future about the angle, is it Georgetown that would be doing it and paying for it, or is the Ottawa County Road Commission that would be paying for it? Do you know, or?
There's no one paying for it at this point, so when you talk about the future, I mean,
I understand.
it's an ambiguous question because there's no project, there's no proposal.
But
like the current project was federally funded.
Was Ottawa County.
The current project was federally funded for the widening. That was federally funded. So through the county, it would not be us actually doing it.
So most likely the county would pay for it if.
It's unlikely the county would pay for it.
Okay.
It would be whether they obtained funds from another source.
Could Georgetown do it without the county paying for it?
You should direct your questions to him.
Could Georgetown do it without the county?
If we're speaking hypothetically, I suppose hypothetically speaking, yes, but there's no project right now or.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, John. All right, so we have heard from everyone in our second public comment period. This time we'll close that and open board discussion and general information. It could be about something that was raised just now among the public or something else that was on your mind. Anyone wish to bring up a matter before the board?
Just a comment regarding Port Sheldon between 40th and 48th. That is on the schedule for Ottawa County Road Commission, I believe, to widen. Is it going to be with a center turning lane? I don't know. I forgot the year, but next year. So it is on the schedule for Ottawa County Road Commission to widen that section. They said it'll be 3 lanes with a center turning lane there. And at that point, obviously would be, if sidewalks were put in, that would be the appropriate time to do it.
And do I remember right that was a stretch that was among the more highly ranked potential sidewalk areas, right? Okay.
Right.
All right.
Yes.
And that's been an ongoing conversation in utilities, and it's one of the sections that is on our radar.
Okay. Okay. There's some hope there. Yep. Anyone else? All right. That issue of there not being a sign. A little simple sign, I guess, on 44.
There is a sign.
Is there? Okay, all right. There is. Maybe I'm too busy looking at the.
I just thought
I
it.
could
I could see it on a computer.
Okay, all right.
The GT sign.
Yeah. It's nothing.
Similar to what's out at 48th and Flower.
I had the impression maybe none at all, but okay. All right. Okay. All right, well, hearing one else, at this time, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. Support all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.